Russians will vote for a new president this Sunday after a campaign like no other. Mass protests have brought hundreds of thousands onto the streets demanding sweeping political change and an end to Vladimir Putin's leadership. The current Prime Minister is still the front-runner, but he's now viewed with scorn on the internet and by many in Moscow and St. Petersburg. With a look at the campaign and what may follow, here's Moscow correspondent Norman Hermont.
Vladimir Putin has had to do something in this presidential race he hasn't done before. Actually campaign. He's faced mass opposition protests, bringing out hundreds of thousands of people after alleged fraud in last December's parliamentary vote broke the back of political apathy in Russia's biggest cities.
We simply want to have new people in our government. We protest against corruption because it's enough.
We're just angry, and that's enough.
During this campaign, Russia's wide-ranging opposition coalition has managed to maintain momentum. Its best-known leaders say these rallies were never about stopping Mr. Putin in the presidential race. That was decided before the contest even began, when several popular opposition candidates were barred from running.
It was selection before election. Putin selected comfortable candidates for him to compete and stop many non-comfortable candidates to compete.
That's left Mr. Putin to dominate the remaining official candidates. Communist leader Gennady Zyuganov is a distant second in the polls. Even billionaire Mikhail Prokhorov has failed to gain much traction.
All over, there are signs Vladimir Putin is fighting an election, even though the outcome is considered a foregone conclusion by many. And while polls suggest Mr. Putin is trouncing his opponents nationally, during this campaign, he's become an object of almost comic derision here in Moscow.
There's been no shortage of signs the fear of Mr. Putin is gone. From this banner that briefly hung directly across from the Kremlin to this. A strategically planned Red Square performance by the punk band Pussy Riot, singing their internet hit, Putin Soiled Himself. In spite of it all, Mr. Putin's backers can still orchestrate huge, if not overly enthusiastic, rallies. So, which way is the country going? Some analysts say this vote, if it is largely free of fraud, will provide some answers.
This forthcoming election may be helpful because it may really demonstrate to which extent the situation has changed. Where are we now? Are we still somewhere in the year 1999 or year 2000 when Mr. Putin has only appeared, or are we already in another Russia?
The opposition says it already knows what will happen. Mr. Putin will win. And after the election, resistance to his rule will only grow.
I think that when Putin will come back, people so much tied on him, people so much want changes in Russia, that I predict that mass peaceful protest will not stop but will increase in Russia.
Vladimir Putin seems set to return to the same office he's held before, but the country he leads may be very different. Norman Hermont, Late Line.